Good morning, raccoons. No school song today. We're okay. You're invited to join us in the pledge. All right, perfect. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, grab a seat, grab a seat, grab a seat. I'm going to hold my announcements until we go over everything with the safety seminar, so I'm just going to turn it over to our RCC friends to go over a few quick things before we start talking about school safety with myself and Officer Don.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you all had a great first day yesterday and hope you are ready for today.
The biggest news is that homecoming is right around the corner. Get your homecoming dress-up day outfits ready and purchase your homecoming dance tickets. You can do that through the district web store. Tickets are $20 online. Get yours now.
Today is the last day to nominate your top 2 seniors for homecoming royalty. Nominations close today at 2:30, so make sure you send in soon.
In sports news, congratulations to our girls JV volleyball team who took first at the Lake Country Lutheran Invite yesterday.
We have tennis today at home courts at 4 against Sussex Hamilton.
Boys soccer takes on McGuanago at 6:30 tonight at the OHS Soccer Stadium. Boys volleyball also plays tonight at 5 in Waterford. Good luck, teams.
Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at OHS Digital Productions to see our show. And for even more contact, follow us at Instagram at RCC_OHS. Be sure to share your news with our team at rcc@osd.org.
All right, let's get rolling with the safety seminar. You guys can probably head out if you want. Yeah, go from there, go watch the safety seminar. Okay. Officer Haas, come on out. Here we go. All right, everybody. Officer Haas, Officer Don, she's here for our safety, both preventative and in situations where we need to be reactive when something occurs to make sure that we protect ourselves and we get out of whatever situation it might be. Every year we take a comprehensive amount of time, this Pride period, this community meeting, to review all the safety protocols here at OHS. Then throughout the year, we'll practice them at several different times. Once a month for a fire drill, we do 2 Alice drills, October and March, and severe weather in the spring as well. We also have to recognize that sometimes things happen where we need to implement these plans, so we can't just treat them like practices. We have to make sure that we are always ready to go, and we treat everything seriously. Hey, it was last week that all of a sudden, all the fire alarms started going off in the building. And everybody just thought, oh, they just must be practicing. No, we had a machine overheat and it was causing smoke. We needed to get out, we needed to take care of it and go from there. So just don't assume that everything's always a drill. Certainly there may be drills from time to time, but we have to practice like we're going to play in a real situation. So what we're going to do today is we're going to review some of the key safety procedures that are outlined in our emergency operation plans. Even if you're a senior and you think you know it all, remember the crazy thing about our campus is it's huge and the safety plans are set up to be large, big, understanding, but then there's that micro level in your individual classroom, how you might respond based off of where you are and where that emergency is happening. So if you're in Lower South, and your exit plan has you going out the vestibule doors or out by the ramp doors, that's your plan. But if the fire is in the ramp bathroom, you're certainly not going to go out those ramp doors. So you need to be situationally aware of everything. That's our theme for today. Understanding situations and knowing enough about your current location, our building, and our practices to make sure you can protect your life and end up in a safe situation. So we're going to go through a couple of them. Teachers have a back channel. So if there's questions in your classroom or you're confused about something, you can certainly punch those in. We'll review them live on air. And if needed, we can review them tomorrow if some come up later in the day. In all your classes today, or some of you did it yesterday and that was helpful, you're reviewing our evacuation procedures based on your individual room and other nuances about your room. Maybe you have multiple doors, how the windows work, whatever it might be based off of your situation. So, while not the most exciting thing in the world, admittedly, this is probably the most important thing that we'll review when it comes to our community, our safety, and awareness of what's going on. We're starting with evacuation. So, our evacuation procedures will be outlined here. All right, raccoons, let's talk about evacuating the building in case of an emergency, specifically a fire or severe weather event. So when we have to evacuate the building, there's a set procedures that we're going to review now. First thing is, number one, know what's going on. Either you're evacuating because there's severe weather, and I'm announcing that over the intercom, and we're saying there's a tornado in the area or a tornado warning, and we need to go to our severe weather locations. Or two, you're hearing the fire alarms go off, and we need to evacuate the building because there's some indication of a fire or smoke or whatever it might be. So first step is, know what's going on. Be aware of what is happening in the building. Second step is, when you go to leave your classroom and go to that assigned location, you need to grab your red bag. There you go. That red bag has everything you need for a prolonged evacuation. Attendance rosters. It's got supplies in there for first aid. It's got a lot going on, pens, whatever it might be, to help make sure that we are set up, ready to go, and can make sure we account for everybody safely and accurately. Then once you grab that red bag, you got to know where you're going. You got to know your location. So if you are going out of the building for an evacuation due to fire, you need to know the closest exit. And if you're going somewhere because of severe weather, you need to know exactly where to go in that route. Note, some of you may stay in the room that you're in exactly. So how do you know where you're going? Right by each door is the evacuation maps that indicate where you should go as your primary spot in an evacuation. You have to recognize that in a fire situation, your primary exit may be blocked due to a fire, right? But again, this is just a good indication on where to go. Once you get to your evacuation point, then that's when the red bag comes into action. Make sure, first of all, you are gathered as a class. Once you know that you're gathered as a class, then somebody will take attendance. Once attendance is taken, then you will hold up a green card if everybody's there, and a red card if someone's missing. An administrator or somebody with a vest on will come to you and ask who's missing, we'll record that, and then a lot of stuff's done behind the scenes to make sure you're good to go and safe. Once you're at that evacuation point, we probably need to recognize a few things. First, you could be there for a long time. Remember last year we actually had a fire and we were outside for a long period of time, right? And you had to wait for more information, and the information was delivered that first we should go to our rally points. So again, we have rally points on campus where we can huddle for a long period of time and wait for further direction. Those are the tennis courts, Ruck Stadium, and the softball fields. So again, these are areas away from the building that allow us to assemble for a longer period of time, stay away from the building in case of an emergency, or so first responders can have unrestricted access to the building or whatever it might be. All right? Then, after you wait for more information, then you execute the plan that's laid out for you, and you listen again to the people in the vest for those next steps. I may not know what those next steps are, so we'll figure it out and we'll communicate it to you. So when you evacuate the building, we remember, first, we know why we're evacuating. Second, we grab the red bag, we figure out where we're going, and then we get to that location, we take attendance, we huddle up, and we always pay attention to people with the vest on that'll tell us what to do next. That's what we do when we have to evacuate our campus. All right, I'm going to give us about 30 seconds if there's any questions that we want to type in, or for teachers just to point out where your red bag is, to point out where your evacuation routes are. Nothing extensive. Go ahead and do that, about 30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 points that come up that I just want to review, and Officer Haas might have more. There's a situation where there may be severe weather and our fire alarm goes off. It was a couple years ago that we had a severe thunderstorm warning. Lightning hit somewhere nearby, fire alarms go off. We obviously don't go outside of that situation. We have backup plans based off where that fire or indication of smoke might be, and then we would communicate over the loudspeaker about what to do next. So that's there. Severe weather during passing period, a transition period, or lunch. If there's a severe thunderstorm rolling through and there's lightning in the area, we can't be outside. So it's important to listen to our announcements that you'll hear about here in the next video, and listen for an adjustment to our operations and plans. So for example, if we know there's a severe thunderstorm in Watertown and it's heading our way, and we know that we can transition earlier to lunch and our friends at East Campus can get to main campus, we might cut class 5 minutes short, or we might be encouraging you to get to class a little bit quicker and cutting our passing period short. All depends on the situation and the time. If there's bad weather at lunch, we may say, seniors, you can't go out to lunch because you can't be out by your car and there's lightning and everything else from there. Again, it's about your safety and awareness around that. But just know we have internal plans around severe weather, knowing that a lot of our operations are outside with our 2 campuses. I want to point out in the video, we talked about prolonged periods of time. There's really a fire or an evacuation or a safety issue or severe weather. Chances are, if we evacuate, it's going to be for a long period of time. Last year when we had the fire, we were outside for a half hour, 40 minutes, and it was a beautiful day, much like today. We have to consider the larger picture. It might be colder, it might be things like that. So again, the best thing you can do is just listen for advice and trust that we're all working behind the scenes to figure out a way to keep you safe, comfortable, and make sure we're in a good situation. The last thing is, some people have asked, hey, if there's an emergency, should I just get in my car and go? That's the worst thing you can do, because if there's an emergency, there are a lot of people coming to our campus to help keep us safe, and you're going to delay their arrival here. So, Officer Haas, anything about evacuation?
Nope, you covered it all.
All right, I did a good job. All right, we're going to talk about intercom now, communication. All right, here we are in our front office at the main desk to talk about things we hear over the intercom. It's important to remember that here at the front desk, we have Miss Hench and Miss Nicholson who will greet you and welcome you through. Make sure you say hi. They have the hardest job in our building as they manage the phone, the loudspeaker, the buzzing, and everything else from there. But that's a side note. From this area, you will often hear information that you need to know. Specifically, there's 2 pieces of announcements that typically come over the loudspeaker that we need to pay attention to. First one you might hear is CPI. Second one you might hear is medical alert. These are 2 sets of teams of teachers in our building that are ready to respond to situations to help support a raccoon or a staff member in need. Not a major emergency. It is just for you to be aware. I call it situational awareness. So if you hear the words CPI 170, you know there's a team responding there. It's not a safety concern to you. Medical alert 152, then you know a team's going to respond there. There's a medical alert to that. It's mostly to communicate to the team that assistance is needed, but you should always be aware. My advice is, when I come in over the loudspeaker or someone comes in over the loudspeaker, the first thing you hear is a ding. You better listen, because it's something outside our normal operations that people need to know in order to be able to do their job or help someone in need. You got a good question.
Yeah, if we hear that over the loudspeaker, should we barricade in our rooms?
Good question. So if you hear CPI or you hear medical alert, does that mean we need to go on a non-emergency lockdown? Not yet. Again, situational awareness. If you're in the hallway by that situation, maybe step away. Or if your classroom is by that area, maybe avoid going to the bathroom until we can get more information based on the situation and how we assess it. If we need to do a non-emergency lockdown because EMTs need to come through or whatever reason, I will follow up with that information and I'll make sure that you know what to do. And then typically after a non-emergency lockdown, you'll get an email from me explaining everything that happened and highlighting the things that went well and things that we could improve upon if needed. So again, loudspeaker goes off, stop, listen. Chances are you'll hear a medical alert, CPI. These are just teams that are responding to help a raccoon in need, and we can just be aware that that's happening, stay out of the way, and wait for further instructions. All right. Again, I'm just going to give 30 seconds. It might be awkward silence staring at each other. All good there. If there's questions, you can pop them in. The best thing we could do right now, teachers, if you could just point out where your emergency call button is. There was about 5 rooms where those aren't working. They might be working right now. They were working hard on them last night. I'll find out. But just point out where that emergency call button is as well. This is a good time to do that. Five, four, three, two, one. 2 questions that popped up in my head. One question is East Campus. Do they have you don't have bells, but you do have the intercom system. So same things apply there. So typically if there's an issue at main campus, we'll call over the East Campus front desk and have them announce that same piece of information. Sometimes it's not necessary, and you might just find out through email or whatever it is, or vice versa. There might be a medical alert and a non-emergency lockdown at East Campus and not main campus, and you'll just kind of navigate that from there. We had a good question in here. The question was? When do we press those emergency call buttons? Whenever you need something, you press those emergency call buttons. It's a critical way to get a hold of people. So if there's an emergency or you need administrator help or there's a medical alert, right, that we need to get that information out. And we may do that in a few different ways. We may scream, help, help, I need somebody. Somebody will respond. We may hit the emergency call button. The minute you hit that emergency call button, a ding goes off in the office and the room number that you're calling from pops up. Someone will begin to communicate with you. And at the same time, chances are myself, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Young, Ms. Anders, or Officer Haas are going to that room no matter what to check on the situation, even if you just bumped it. Then you got phones. The phone on your desk, your teacher's desk, dials 911 if you ever need that, and you go from there. I will say this. When those emergency call buttons go off, a lot of things happen behind the scenes that get us a little hyped up. And because we're hanging out by the door and we casually bump it because it's 2:38 and we can't wait to go home, creates a lot of work for a lot of people. So I'd ask you just to be aware of where that button is. Avoid hitting it unintentionally. Certainly hit it if you need something or some support from there. Okay? Good. No other questions popped up there? Intercom's feeling good? Awesome. We're going to talk a little bit now about our emergency response scenario training. Alice, if there were a violent critical incident on our campus, person with a weapon, person looking to cause harm to us, or an emergency response that might happen due to some sort of harmful act by another person. So watch this video. Alice stands for A.
Alert.
L.
Lockdown.
I.
Inform.
C.
Counter.
E.
Evacuate.
This is our framework that we can think about in a violent situation. So alert, first of all, we need to be aware of what happens. Maybe we heard it. Maybe we heard gunshots. Maybe someone screamed, somebody has a gun, blah, 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 blah. Location, somebody has it in the north cafeteria, room 123. We need to be aware of what's happening. Then that takes us actually to jump over into the information. What information do you know to be able to make a decision? So once you hear something that's happening, you gather the information that you can, and then you have three possible responses. This is the L, which stands for?
Lockdown.
There you go. The C, which stands for?
Counter.
The E, that stands for?
Evacuate.
Awesome. So you have three options in a violent situation. Once you know the information, we can lock down, we can counter, we can evacuate. Let's take those piece by piece. First, lockdown. If the situation's close to you and it's easiest for you to just stay in the room because you're in room 164 and you're in Lower South Campus and you hear there's something happening there, you're going to want to stay put. So what do? You lock down in the room you're in. This is where we talk about barricading. I want to introduce you to our new doors. These doors, yeah, it's exciting. Not are they only not from 1960, but they're updated around safety measures as well. First of all, when you close these doors and lock them, as we should, right, the doors will be locked, and then that is your first barricade to make sure someone can't get in. So if they can't get in because the door's locked, that's number one. You can add things in front of it, or you can pull a levy to kind of pull it back to make sure no one can open it, but if your door's locked, that's your barricade. That's the best possible thing that you can do. Second thing is, now that these doors are here, right, you'll notice that the window is smaller. This is so somebody can't break through the window and somehow open the door or put in some weapon and attack the classroom that they're trying to enter. So these windows are smaller to avoid the weapon from being able to gather around the room or to be able to avoid someone actually being open your locked door or whatever it might be. Things happen. So these doors are set up for your safety for a lockdown situation. Once you shut the door, you lock it, and if you decide to barricade in front of it or whatever it might be, remember you just want to get out of the eyesight of the door. So we want to be in the corners that are far away or underneath tables or whatever it would be. Sound good? All right. The other thing we need to think about is the C. What's it stand for?
Counter.
Counter. That means that the intruder is nearby. They might be in your room. They might be in your hallway. Right? So when the intruder is nearby, we need to counter that intruder. And that can look in a few different ways. What's one way we might counter an intruder that's near us?
Throw a stapler at them.
Throw a stapler at them. We didn't even prep that. Yeah, throw something at them. Like, boom, throw something. You never know how you might respond. It's okay. What's another thing we might do?
Flashlight.
Flashlight. That's good. Yeah, if we got our phone and we're in the hallway, we might flash our light, especially if it's in a dark space and we need to know where to go. The other thing that we're trying to do, whether it's throwing something, flashlighting, is we're trying to interrupt that person's line of thinking. We scream really loud. The example I always give, and you've heard it for years now, is when you go to a basketball game and you're at the Bucks game and Giannis is shooting a free throw, our mouths are shut. We're quiet, letting him concentrate. When the opposing team is shooting, we're screaming, we're loud, we're trying to distract them. The shooter, the intruder, is the opposing team. We're trying to distract them. You don't have to get physical. You don't have to get close. You just need to interrupt their line of thinking. Maybe that's throwing something. Maybe that's screaming. Maybe that's flashing lights. It all depends. The E stands for?
Evacuate.
Evacuate. This, if at all possible, is your best option. If we hear that there's an intruder in Lower South by room 164 and we're in social studies class on the other side of campus, we want to get out as soon as possible. Find any exit you can and just run. And remember, law enforcement will tell you where to go. Some people often say, wait a minute, do I evacuate? Do I go to a rally point? Why would I go there? No, just run off campus. People will tell you where to go. It is going to be chaotic, but at the end of the day, it's about your life and your safety. Run, and we'll communicate afterwards what you should do and how we will reunify as a community and take account for attendance. So again, it's about your life at that point in time. Get out of the building if you can and wait for further direction. Run off campus. Somebody will be responding, telling you what to do. So that's our ALICE protocol. Alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. These are all things we can do in a violent, critical incident where we can make sure we keep our lives safe. All right, just want to pause for a second. Maybe you were tuning out, whatever it might be. Refocus your attention on the screen. This is hard to talk about, and we don't have to look too far ago from a week ago to see what happened in the Minneapolis area with the school shooting up there. This is scary, but this is about empowering you to be able to take control of a really bad situation, a violent critical incident, to protect your life and those around you. Research shows if someone's looking to cause harm to a school community, they're looking to hurt as many people as possible quickly. So we have procedures in place that prevent that person from getting in, but we also know that we can't control every single aspect. That's why you are buzzing at the front door and showing your ID and showing that you're a student and that you belong here. That is why we have Officer Don patrolling our parking lots. That is why we have parking permits so we can monitor the cars that are here. That is why we have cameras that monitor cars that come in and off campus. This is why we have procedures where we have people at the doors where you show your ID. And so when we do those things and we show our ID or we roll our eyes or we're rude to somebody that's just doing their job to make sure that we're safe, you're really interrupting the pattern of what we're trying to do to protect everybody in our community. So when you come here, you can worry about fulfilling those career, college, and life readiness goals. It's sad we have to do this, but it's really important and powerful that we can have this conversation as a community and recognize it. So that's why I go back to, I think it's October 20th. We do that ALICE drill. We take these seriously. Now, we've made it security enhancements, so if we do have to become reactive, we are better protected. Those doors are better protecting you to ensure that you're safe. They remain locked at all times, as you probably figured out. Maybe you don't have a new door. Center campus doesn't have the new doors, but those windows you have are a little bit more reinforced. It would be really hard to enter into that as well. All right, so as we think about that, we think about our safety, we think about the response, we have to also think about this same principle of ALICE out in our community. Whether it's a football game on a Friday night, a theater show, whatever it might be, or you're down at Summerfest, these, again, lockdown, counter, evacuate, are your simple, quick responses to any emergency situation you may experience in life. You're gonna go off to career in college, whether you're at UW-Madison, or you're working in construction, or you're working at an auto spot. These are, again, you have to be prepared of how to respond to an emergency. Officer Haas, anything you need to add? Okay, all right. Again, the screen is up there. If there's questions that pop up, certainly we can do that. And maybe there's conversations that happen later in the day with your Block C, your Block D, that we might want to add to there, and I can address them tomorrow or Monday on RCC. Last video is what we call rapid fire. Just safety things you need to know that you might have questions about. Hit it. In addition to all our procedures, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that ensure our campus stays safe. So let's review some of those real quick. So rapid fire, lightning round, hit me.
What is our parking lot safety like?
Parking lot safety. You control your parking lot safety. First and foremost, remember, you need a parking permit displayed. You need a parking permit displayed. If it's not displayed, if it fell off or you forgot it or you took a different car, then you might receive a citation from Officer Don or Officer Palm. Those citations cannot be revoked. So remember, you need your parking permit displayed at all times. You do get 5 free days to park, so maybe you just got your license or you took a new car, sign in at the front office before school starts, and that will be your permit for the day. So you need to have your parking permit displayed. Plus then, we take it slow. Remember, The parking lot is a busy place. After school, it's the busiest place on campus. We have 800 student drivers, we have over 400 or 500 parents picking up people, and we have 15 buses or so driving onto our campus to get people home safely. Be aware of your surroundings, follow the stop signs, follow the directions of the adults who are outside, making sure everybody stays safe. And if an unfortunate situation happens where you do get into an accident, stop what you're doing, pull into a safe spot, and then let an adult know, and we'll get Officer Don to help you go through that whole process and procedure. But again, we follow the signs, we drive slow, and we display our permits. Probably the best things that we can do to ensure you don't get hit or you don't accidentally hit something or someone in our parking lot.
When do we need to use our IDs?
All the time. You need your IDs all the time. First of all, it's your ID. It helps us identify who you are in an emergency situation. If you got into a medical situation and you couldn't speak, your ID is going to tell us who you are and we can look things up. It's also going to help do practical things, like help you get lunch, help you go to the vending machine, help you get a Chromebook when you forgot one. Your ID is the most practical thing that we have, but it also ensures your safety. The other thing it does is it gets you into events for free. So you need your ID, an updated ID for this year. The other thing to think about with your IDs is they get you into the building. Our campus is secure, and outside the passing periods, the doors are locked and you need to buzz in and show your ID to enter. This is especially important if you're coming in late in the morning or if you're crossing between main campus and East Campus. Your ID is your key. If you forget your ID, we'll record your name and we'll be happy to print you a new one and then charge your parents $15 on Skyward, so don't lose it.
How do we report something during school?
We are all responsible for our safety and each other's safety. So that's a great question. How do we report something during school? So if we notice that something's off or we're concerned about a peer or a teacher or a classmate and we want to report that information, we can do that anonymously through the SUSO app. Speak Up, Speak Out. It's on your class link, and you can also go online, type in our school, and make an anonymous report about a concern you have, and then I am alerted right away, Officer Don is alerted right away, and we will begin an investigation. The other thing you can do if you are wanting to just get help right away is to go to a trusted adult. Whether it's a counselor, a teacher, a coach, myself, one of your associate principals, or Officer Don, come and say, I'm concerned about X, Y, and Z. I saw this, it was suspicious. Always report. If it's not something to be worried about, that's our job to worry and to investigate. If you're concerned about someone or something, you gotta report it. The other things that we can do if we are concerned about something that might be happening on campus or if it's over the weekend is we can call the police directly ourselves. But the one thing we want to avoid when we want to report something is we do not want to send an email. Typically, when we're concerned about someone's safety or well-being, sending an email, sometimes emails get lost, sometimes they go to spam. We want to talk to someone directly or report it through a mechanism that's vetted out, like SUSO, calling 911, calling a police department, whatever it is. Do not email a concern. Talk to somebody or report it. Sound good?
What are the rules around a secure campus?
Secure campus, great question. We all own the responsibility for keeping our campus secure. We already talked about needing IDs to enter. We cannot prop doors open or let people in who are knocking because they're late. Let them deal with walking all the way to the front door. I know 90% of the time we're just trying to be nice to a friend or help a raccoon out who's having a rough start to their day because they're running a little late, and it makes sense. Let them in, they're my math class, and the math classroom's right here. But we cannot get in the habit of letting people in. You don't know everybody, you don't know their motivations, and you don't know their intention. Most of the time, almost all of the time, their motivation is they just want to get to class on time. But we can't operate under that way because, again, there's a lot of people that come to our campus on a daily basis, and we need to make sure that we don't let in a person that's intending to cause harm. All raccoons, all guests come in through the front during our school days and our operations. During passing period, our doors are open, and there's adults at those doors that are checking your IDs, or they're doing visual checks to make sure they recognize the student, and they're kind of monitoring who's entering the building, who's leaving the building, and those types of things. So, again, if it's during class period, during the school day, we are not propping doors open for a friend, we are not letting people in who knock. Send them to the front door, let them deal with their problem. It's nice that you're trying to be nice, but again, it could jeopardize your safety.
Is there ever a time you'll need to call 911?
Yeah, we just kind of talked about that, reporting things. So remember, again, if there's an emergency, calling 911 is totally fine. On your cell phone, the room phones, like right here, there we go. We can call 911, all is good to go. The other thing I want to mention is we can hit the call buttons and we can ask for help. That call button comes right to the office and you can say, help me out. I need some help. So if you need immediate help, maybe hitting a call button, 911, we'll go to a dispatcher and they'll dispatch things, but certainly 911. The time that you want to probably use 911 the most is after school when the building's not fully staffed. So for example, if you're hanging out here or something happens and you can't find an adult or a custodian, 911 is a great way to make sure you get the help that you need as quickly as possible.
How many drills will we have?
Great question. We need to have one fire drill a month, so we'll do that and we can skip 1 month when it's cold. We will have at least one severe weather drill in April. We'll probably talk about it before then. And then we'll have 2 ALICE drills where we talk about that violent critical incident and how to possibly respond. We'll have one in the fall and again one in the spring. So we will have a few drills. Now, I'll remind us when we have drills, but the most important thing that we can do during a drill is we can practice like we'll play. Like we know that it's a drill probably, or we have alerted you that it's a drill, and sometimes we can get a little silly and weird about it because it's not real, but again, it's to simulate that real experience so then if it does happen, we know exactly what to do. We've had situations here where we've had to have a mass evacuation. We've had situations here where we have had to call the fire department in. We've had situations here where we have had to go on a non-emergency lockdown for an extended period of time. We always want to know what to do and make sure we're set up for success so that the people that are responding can do their job to keep all of us safe. We all want our safety. I am proud to lead us through this work and to make sure that you are safe on campus so you can learn, have fun with your friends. And again, just remember, always turn to a trusted adult, take the drill seriously, and listen for information so that you know why you're evacuating. If there's a critical incident where you need to counter, evacuate, lockdown, whatever it is, so that you can be set up for success and help our operations run smoothly. All right, we only have one question roll in. Do you have to hold down the intercom button while speaking? No. So when you want to alert, hit that call button, you press it, it dings, that indicates, and they'll talk through the speaker, and then you just speak up to the speaker in your room, and we'll communicate that way. Again, somebody's responding already, and they'll be the ones that gather the majority of the information. Other questions pop up throughout the day, staff? Go ahead and throw those on there. We'll either come address them to you specifically, or if your class wants us to come up and talk about a specific scenario based off of your room, just send me an email. We'll get up there in the next couple days. All right? We'll leave it at that. We got a couple minute break here before we get in with Block B, Hour 3. Here we go. Oh my God, best day of our lives.